Hello and thank you for watching my video. This is part 4 in the Road to a Legendary series, and this will be looking at the final part, which will actually look at the Precursor. Now the Precursor can be acquired from a couple of ways. First of all, you can drop from any enemy, chest or World vs World loot bag. I have to say, it's never happened to me, and that's been almost 3 years of playing. You can also combine exotics or rares in the Mystic Forge. So we're going to look at some of these options. You can obviously as well buy the precursors from the trading post. And this gives you an idea here. This is on the GW2 Spidey website, particularly looking at the precursor that I needed for Rodgort, and this was Rodgort's Flame, and this was looking at how the price has fluctuated, or relatively hasn't, in the past, well, this is the past week. I should have actually done it for the last month or so, but the precursors haven't been changing too much this past week, and generally, if we look again at Dusk, for example, that has changed a fair amount in the last week, but it is a lot more expensive than Rodgort. I mean, it's almost 10 times more expensive than Rodgort, and that shows you how some precursors are going to be much more valuable than others. So when going for your legendary weapon, bear this in mind, that the precursor can be an extremely expensive part of the process in getting a legendary, or it can actually be relatively cheap. So what I've got here, I've got 4 rares. I'm going to do that 3 times. I should have done it 4, but here we go. And I actually crafted all of these. I wanted to show you guys all the different, what we can do to actually get a legend, or to get a precursor, and that is by tossing them into the Mystic Forge. I actually got my first precursor that way, but I put rare greatswords in the Mystic Forge, and I wanted to show you as well why I don't tend to do this as much, because you can actually earn a lot more gold from this. Also, a nice little fun fact, someone actually showed me you can actually hover over it and get estimated profit. Something new I learned, and I'm still learning, how the game works. So that's a fair point. Again, you can hover over it, and there we go, estimated profit. That's an extremely valuable tip someone gave me, so I appreciate that really, really much. But here we go, and we get a boring rare out of that. We're going to put 4 more greatswords in there. Again, exactly the same result out of it, and again the same result. Well, that's a bit of a chance that never that happened. We're going to put 4 greatswords in there, exotics. I don't need any of these. And we get a berserkers. Alright, okay, it's berserkers, but that's not really what I wanted. But if we sell them, we're going to get, let's have a look, if we put it on for 5, we're going to get 4.3 profit. Okay, I rounded that up, but so I'm going to sell that back, get some money back. But generally a bit disappointing, but, when I was doing this for my first precursor, I took over 300 goes to get a precursor, and that was when the precursors were way more expensive, because obviously it was much more rare to get one. But here we go, I'm just going to buy 1 more rare greatsword just to toss that into the Mystic Forge and show you that, this is why greatswords tend to be quite valuable, the rare greatswords, more than anything else in the market. It's because it's very easy and very commonplace to actually put Mystic Forge rare greatswords. It's cheaper than an exotic greatsword. You still have a much less chance, if I can get my words out, of actually getting a precursor by putting 4 rares in the Mystic Forge, but the lower cost it takes makes it a bit more approachable than doing with the, particularly with the tier 6 materials for an exotic greatsword can be extremely expensive. I don't know if you noticed, I actually used a Giver's greatswords mainly because I actually got a load of those from the Winter's Day events, and so I actually didn't want to waste any of my tier 6 materials on this. So, as you can see here, when we look at the materials, these are the tier 5 materials. You do get quite a lot of those. That's why it can be quite easy. And I don't want to trade any of these because I am going for a legendary weapon, so I do need the materials. But they're Flawless Snowflake. I've got plenty of those, and they'll be what I use for exotic greatswords. The main issue with crafting an exotic greatsword is the fact that it takes, 5 or a Chalcum. If we have a look at a scroll down here, 5 of the inscriptions, 5 of the plated dowels, and to get 5 of those even if we ordered it, it's going to cost us 2.5 gold, and that's just for one greatsword, and that's not even taking into consideration the anything else. So it is expensive, but there's also a third way, or a way that will be coming in the Heart of Thorns. This is the crafting guide. So you'll be able to spend mastery points gaining access to collections. Now, according to Colin Johansson, you can acquire account-bound precursor weapons by unlocking collections. This is a big thing that's not... It's going to stop... Obviously, precursors should be theoretically a bit easier to acquire, but it's going to really shake up how you get precursors. People can go out and get them from themselves, but not just for selling. So this is how masteries currently look. This was in the demo. You'll notice we have the legendary precursor crafting mastery. I'm guessing you access the collections and then you have to complete that collection before you can move on. So there's going to be a lot of materials or a lot of things that you'll need to create and to acquire to unlock these collections. And so that's going to be interesting as well. We come back to it. You will therefore need 20 mastery points just to unlock the complete guide of a precursor, and then obviously you can move on to that. But if you look as well, you've got the first, second, and third, and then the Heart of Maguma precursor collection. So that's obviously going to look at the new precursors coming into the game, of which they are. I haven't said how many there's going to be, but this will be a new option on how to acquire a precursor. Things may be subject to change, but as we can see here, this is my Rodgort. This is the precursor I bought from the trading post. It was only 90 gold, and that's obviously I decided to go for this one because it looks cool and it's a cheap one. And I'm hoping that some more professions actually get the torch to use in Heart of Thorns. But if we look as well here, we can look at the differences in price between the sort of the precursors. And obviously this is going to really benefit those that are expensive. And if you look here, we have Dusk is the most expensive precursor. So going for Dusk using the new mastery system is going to be a lot more, a massive gold saver in particular. So this is how some of the little bit of a guide on how to get a precursor. Generally, at the moment, this is taking place in March 2015. When Heart of Thorns comes out, this guide will change. But to get a precursor, the main ways are through a random drop, which I have never got in the world. Very, 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 very rare these to get a random drop in the world. You can get them by putting weapons and putting equipment into the Mystic Forge. Again, a fairly rare chance. And you can also buy them off the trading post, which is the easiest way. It is expensive, but there's less risk involved. So as you can see here, you're getting down and down and down, and then you're getting the cheap sort of Rodgort's cheap, and the trident the spear is actually the cheapest precursor. I think it's that's the cheapest precursor around sort of. Oh no, Venom's the cheapest precursor for the Kraken, and that's only 54 gold. I mean, that is ridiculously cheap. That is 20 times cheaper than Dusk. I mean, that is unbelievable. But this is one of the more difficult parts of crafting a legendary, particularly if your precursor is pretty expensive. Then this bit can be a challenge. As you can see, the Kraken is only sort of 1600 gold. That's almost a legendary Kraken is almost as much as Dusk alone, and that is unbelievable. But I'm hoping this guide has been a little bit of enlightenment for you guys, so you can see what not to go for and what to take into account when going through a legendary. Thanks for watching. See you on the next video.